Well, the first university, I spent 3 years there, and I had to walk from my apartment to the university, which was about 2 miles one way. And I did that, but luckily we didn't have much rain at that time, and
but the fact that you walked, I think that's important, because people, the exercise and the diet for people with head injuries, head trauma, that is, and I can't necessarily say it's just for head trauma, but specifically this is what we're talking about. And
I maintain a good diet, and I keep myself, fit, and that helps a lot too.
Well, I know I read parts and bits and pieces of your book. I couldn't get through the whole thing in one night, but I wanted to touch upon some of the catchphrases that I found. And you know what a catchphrase is, something that'll catch your eye or something. And I think that I was just really impressed with your motivation. I was motivated. Being disabled has not been disabling.
No, it's really enabled me to do a lot more than I could without it. If I didn't have this disability, I would never gone to school, because there's a lot of other things that take you away from doing things like schoolwork and stuff.
And the difference between work and play.
Well, I combine the two, so you can't really tell the difference when I'm working or playing, because everything is anything I do is is a joy that I can do it, and so actually everything is a game for me.
That's great. Well, and that's a really positive attitude too.
Well, that's another thing too. You have to have a positive attitude.
Right.
You have to have a positive attitude to get through a disability like this.
Yeah, I like this one, peeling the layers of disability.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you first have to do something to maybe fix up a disability you have, like a handicap, like you can't if you can't walk. Like when I came out of the hospital, I was in a wheelchair, and well,
you're certainly walking now, aren't you?
I worked at it very hard, and now I can walk, and see, it's little layers you peel off, and one by one you can do it. And
that's a great analogy, though, where you're peeling off, where you're just kind of like that. I love that analogy. It's kind of like if you're peeling off the layers of disability, then you come down to ability.
Yeah, that's right.
The research paper that I wrote, and I had never written a research paper, but at one point, I guess about 4 years after my injury, and thank God I was part of Toastmasters, because I was continually having to write speeches, and evaluate and listen to people speak, and my major problem was communication, believe it or not. I couldn't put sentences together, I couldn't form them, I couldn't stay on focus with a thought. But now I can, because I've worked really hard, just like you've worked really hard, but we had different problems. So it's good to know that we can move forward.
I didn't know I had as much as I did until I had my injury, and then working at getting it back. And knowing that you can do it.
Very smart. You maybe didn't realize how smart you were. I like this one. Disability provided a cushion. Don't let it smother you.
Yeah, well, it did provide a cushion, because even if I failed, people are going to realize that I have a disability, and then they're not going to get so hard on me. But I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to let that smother me and do the least I can. I always do the most I can.
Well, I think some of these phrases are really important, because you have an idea of how it's worked for you. And the vocabulary, I was very impressed with your vocabulary, actually. How about a two-headed beast? Turn blind eye at deficiencies.
Yeah, you have to overlook what you can't do and just concentrate on what you can do, and that way you can work on getting better. And eventually, those little things that you can't do, they will get better too.
I love it. I just love it. And I wanted to share with you, I told you a story about, remember when my attorney said, Claire, no one would believe you had a head injury. So she wanted to drop my case. And I thought I would, okay, I have to help myself, or I have to help my attorney help me. And I went to a conference in San Francisco at the Fairmont Hotel, all dressed up like an attorney, because the neurologist was going to speak to these attorneys. And I was thinking, I wish my attorney would go to this and I could barely, you know, really understand everything, but I thought I'd had to learn, and everything that I taught myself was another step forward in the recovery. So I taught myself how to use a computer and kept learning the speeches and writing the research paper with the help of De Anza College. They gave me my own professor for a whole semester. I met with her, and so we all